Sanctions are supposed to stop bad actors. They are presented as a clean, non-violent weapon, a way for governments to punish aggressive regimes without firing a single shot. But here's the truth, almost nobody understands. The moment sanctions are announced, a hidden economy switches on. Ships quietly shut off their trackers. Smugglers prepare new routes, governments make deals in back rooms, and billions of dollars begin flowing through networks that no law can fully control. Because sanctions don't eliminate illegal activity, they multiply it. Sanctions don't weaken corrupt governments. They strengthen underground networks. Sanctions don't bring transparency. They create chat. And the biggest mystery is this. Why do the world's largest black markets appear after sanctions, not before? To understand this connection, we start with one basic economic truth. When legal supply disappears, illegal supply takes its place. People still need fuel. Businesses still need imports. Governments still need money. Demand remains unchanged, and supply always finds a way, legally or illegally. This isn't new. When empires banned goods centuries ago, smuggling exploded. When the United States banned alcohol during Prohibition, organized crime became stronger than ever. When nations sanctioned apartheid, South Africa secret companies emerged overnight to keep trade flowing. Sanctions don't create crime out of thin air. They simply push the economy into the dark. Modern sanctions began as global political tools after World War I. The idea was simple: cut off resources and force surrender without direct conflict. But that theory collapsed immediately. In 1935, when Italy was hit with an oil embargo, the black market didn't shrink, it exploded. Merchants rerouted supply. Middlemen quietly earned fortunes. Oil moved across the Mediterranean in ways that no regulator could track. And Italy continued its invasion anyway. The same pattern repeated across decades. Ban a product and criminals take over. Restrict trade and smugglers dominate. Create scarcity and corruption spreads. Sanctions became a weapon, but they also became the engine that built the first global shadow markets. By the 2000s, sanctions evolved from trade restrictions to complex financial pressure systems, and the underground economy evolved even faster. Iran built secret shipping fleets, offshore oil companies, and underground currency pipelines. Today, an estimated 40% of Iran's economy operates in the shadows. North Korea survived by spoofing GPS signals on its ships, creating fake companies, and using cybercrime to generate billions. Sanctions didn't crush North Korea, they forced it to innovate. Russia, after facing sanctions in 2014 and again in 2022, created a shadow fleet of more than 1,000 tankers. These ships operate with trackers turned off, fake paperwork, and middlemen spread across India, the Gulf, and China. Sanctions didn't isolate Russia. They rewired global trade routes. Everywhere the same pattern appears. Cut off official trade, and unofficial trade expands. Cut off banking, and shadow banking grows. Cut off supply chains and smuggling becomes industrialized. This is where sanctions begin to backfire. They're supposed to weaken governments, but in sanctioned countries, the opposite often happens. When legal markets collapse, governments take control of the illegal ones. Scarcity becomes political power. Corruption turns into an operating system. Border guards, customs officers, and military officials become dependent on bribes. The underground economy becomes the only economy. Ordinary citizens, who just need food, fuel, or medicine, are forced into illegal channels. Sanctions don't just create black markets. They create entire criminal ecosystems that cross borders and empower cartels, smugglers, and corrupt officials. Instead of eliminating threats, sanctions often create new ones. Over the long term, the damage becomes permanent. When sanctions drag on for years, underground markets stop being temporary survival tools. They become the foundation of the national economy. Countries build their own alternative financial pipelines using crypto, hawala networks, offshore companies, barter trade, cash couriers, and secret banking systems. Legal businesses collapse because they cannot access international finance, insurance, shipping, or trade infrastructure. Criminal competitors replace them. Governments become dependent on illegal revenue streams. Regions destabilize as smuggling groups gain power and legitimacy. The underground economy becomes part of the nation's identity, long after the sanctions end. For decades, global powers have tried to fix the problem with smart sanctions, shipping trackers, financial surveillance, satellite monitoring, and banking restrictions. But every fix triggers a new workaround. Demand never disappears. It just changes shape. Every sanction creates new loopholes, new routes, new middlemen, and new shadow networks. The underground market adapts faster than regulators ever can. Today, the hidden economy created by sanctions is larger and more sophisticated than at any point in history. Crypto adoption is exploding in restricted nations because it bypasses banking bans. Shadow fleets move millions of barrels of oil using ship-to-ship transfers, fake identities, and untraceable insurance. Smuggling routes across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia have evolved into multi-billion-dollar pipelines for fuel, medicine, luxury goods, and weapons. Third-party hubs, like the UAE, Turkey, Malaysia, and Singapore, quietly profit by relabeling and redistributing sanctioned goods. Sanctions didn't shrink the illegal economy, they globalized it. The lessons are clear. First, sanctions create black markets because demand never dies. The economy simply goes underground. Second, sanctions strengthen the regimes. They target because scarcity becomes political leverage. Third, black markets born from sanctions do not disappear when sanctions end. They become permanent parts of the global system. The final warning is the most alarming. Sanctions were designed to make the world safer. Instead, they've helped build a global shadow economy, darker, deeper, and harder to control than anything before it. If this pattern continues, we may be heading toward a future where shadow trade is not the exception, but the backbone of global commerce. To understand these hidden forces shaping global finance, geopolitics, and underground markets, subscribe to The Dark Economy, because the real story of global power is never in the headlines. It's in the systems operating beneath them.